So Frank's a perfect example of what you could do when you have a made up mind, right? To go from nothing going on, seemingly nothing, right? To not feeling like he's winning to in like 3 weeks. I mean, just taking a 6-figure income and making it in 1 month. And so it's a perfect example.
So let's talk about it.
We had everything going against us.
Yeah, we were young. We were broke. We didn't know anything about business. We literally started from nothing.
We were never supposed to make it.
So what happens before someone has that turning point, right? Like a defining moment. If we were to go through a recipe of what happens, what it feels like, what it looks like when you could shift everything just like that. Because that's the thing. So, some people get stuck and then they stay stuck forever. And if you were going to shift and accelerate your business or whatever it is you're trying to change in your life, there's a recipe for that. What would be some points on that recipe? Let's talk about that.
I think you have to be triggered.
Okay. Triggered.
There has to be a triggering event where you just go, I am so pissed off that I cannot take my current situation any longer, not a minute longer. So I have to do something to change it.
So it's kind of like a breaking point. It's I'm freaking sick of this.
Exactly. Or you just can't take it anymore. That feeling that you're just, I can't.
Yeah, whether it's health, whether it's business, whether it's finances, whatever it may be. So a point where you get pissed.
Mm-hmm. I think anytime before that, you may be uncomfortable, but you're not uncomfortable enough with your current situation.
So when I was talking to Frank about it, and we had this meeting, we went to a coffee shop, and he messaged me the night before, and he goes, "Hey, coach, give me a time and place tomorrow, and I'll be there." And I was like, "Okay, well, what are we doing?" He's like, I want to talk to you. I was like, "All right, well, what's up? Is it good or bad?" He's like, "Of course it's good. What do you mean, is it good or bad?" And I said, "Okay, but you want to do it in person?" He's like, "I want to do it in person." And so he had that breaking point, right? That triggering point. And he told me, he said, I read a quote that we've all probably heard before. And he said, it changed my whole life. It said, the things that you don't hate, you eventually tolerate. Mm-hmm. And he said, I was sitting there and I just got this feeling of hate for my current situation.
Yeah, that like, boy, do you call it like boil point, right? Where it's just...
Where the first bubble pops.
Yeah, and you're like, no. Mm-mm.
Yeah, that's the moment when things finally snap, right? And so if you're thinking about something in your life that you want to change, then this may be the very first point. I think this is the step one to it actually changing. A lot of times people say, I'm going to make a change. I'm going to make a change. I'm going to do this. I'm going to start getting it going. I'm going to start losing weight. I'm going to start getting in shape. I'm going to start making money. I'm going to start getting momentum. And then it doesn't ever happen, right? Nothing ever happens. And I think one of the missing ingredients is the fact that those are things they want, but they're not things that they're freaking finally sick of and pissed off about.
Mm-hmm. That they need to have, not want. Like, I want that. And you need it.
Exactly. So let's put number 2 on the recipe of a change or momentum or the power of a made-up mind, right? Number 2 would be clarity on exactly what it is that you want. Like, this is, like, for example, you eat a meal and you're like, you know what? I'm just so effing fat. Like, I'm so pissed at myself, right? That's like I'm tired of this crap moment. And then you get clarity on, okay, this is what I want. This is how I should feel. This is what I should look like. And so clarity of what it looks like.
Yeah, and I think if you're having trouble doing that, because I think sometimes we have trouble writing down exactly what we want. And I think the easier way to do that, if you're having trouble, is to write down exactly what you don't want and say, okay, what's the opposite of that?
Yeah, and then you got to have a plan for that. So I would add that to number 2 is, this is what I want. This is what I'm zeroed in on. I could see it. I could feel it. I could touch it. I'm locked in. It's not just a desire anymore. It's a burning desire. It's a need. It's a I have to change this, emergency panic, right?
Yeah.
For example, if you're in business and you're freaking broke, you're not making money, your cash flow sucks, Your numbers suck. You have no momentum. You're sitting in an event and someone who's been here less time than you just crossed 6 figures. And you're sitting there and you're just like freaking pissed. Like, dude, what the? F this dude. Like, I'm pissed. Like, pissed like I've never been before. Well, that's the moment where it all starts, right? Then I get clarity on it and I have a plan. This is what I want and this is how I'm going to get it, right? And so it's being actually locked in, not just like, oh, okay, I'll start doing this every day. No, it's like it's doing it with freaking, you got to feel it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You got to feel it. And some of you might be watching this episode going like, I have no clue what he's talking about. I've never been in that spot. Well, it's very possible then that you've never had this moment of takeoff in your business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like Frank went from empty calendar, nothing really going on, to literally like 6 figures in 30 days. From 7,000 to now he'll clock in over 100 grand. Just like that. You have Elson, another person who started off at pretty much not having momentum, and in 5 months made over 140,000 bucks. Mm-hmm. Why are you giving me a funny look?
No, DJ threw me off with this
okay.
random hand popping up.
So those are all things that's exactly what it happens. Now, if everyone could just orchestrate or build or cook up this magic of being laser focused and having a made up mind, which is like there is no other option, man, people could change their life so fast.
Yeah, you have to hold on to it. A lot of times when you feel that feeling, you let it pass over. You kind of let yourself calm down, and then you go, well, I overreacted. It's actually not that bad. But if you want to change something, then you need to hold on to that feeling, because that's the feeling that actually motivates you. So
right.
If you have to write down that list of everything you're sick of tolerating and read it every single time your mind tries to convince you that you are okay in the spot you are,
right, then
you need to do that.
Yeah, that's what Frank said. He said, I freaking hated being broke. Mm-hmm. Like, I hated it. And one of the I think the things that are missing for people sometimes when they haven't got to that point is I think you have to want it bad enough in order to get mad about it, right? Mm-hmm. And so if you're like stuck in a spot that you don't want to be stuck in, but you don't really want, like you haven't wanted bad enough to really win, like you've just been kind of playing around with business, it's never been like, this isn't just what I do, this is freaking who I am. Then I don't think you're ever gonna have that trigger, because it's not something that means enough to you, mm-hmm. But for those of you that it means enough to you, man, you could get to that breaking point, and it's a good thing. Mm-hmm. It's a really good thing. Let's talk about what you do after you have a plan then.
Action.
Action.
You have to take action. You can't just have a plan. A plan means nothing. It's useless. It's a piece of paper that, can end up in the trash. You have to take action on it immediately while that feeling is still lingering and still powerful. You need to take action immediately. This does so many good things for you. It helps build your self-confidence because it shows yourself that you're keeping a promise to you and you're doing something to make it better. It gives you hope. All these different wonderful things happen when you start taking action, and you just have to make that decision and just run with it.
Right. And there's a lot of learning in that process. There's so much learning that comes in the doing. There's so much learning that comes in the middle of seemingly what's failure, but it's massive immediate action. So massive meaning a ton.
Yeah, not just little things here and
there.
Little
things here and there, right? Immediate means right away. And it's taking purposeful, intentional, like determined action, right?
Yeah.
Like I expect what I'm doing to work. That's the difference, is I expect it to work. It's not making a bunch of calls going, I hope they don't answer. I hope they don't answer. I hope they don't answer. It's like making calls going, I freaking expect them to answer and say yes and buy everything I'm selling.
And the massive immediate action is to shock your system, to shock your brain, and to going, okay, we've never done this before. We've never acted in this way before. That's why it's going to be different.
And doing it with force.
Yes.
Like with determination, energy, like This crap is going to work. It's doing everything with the thought about how much I hate my situation. I hate it. That's why I'm doing this. I hate being broke. That's why I'm making calls. I hate being a loser in the business. That's why I'm sending out extra messages today. I hate being a nobody in the business. That's why I'm going to make 25,000 new lists of contacts. You know, it's like, it's getting to the point where you're desperate. And when I think back in the beginning of my career, I was at that point. I was like, God, I want this to work so bad. So I was willing to do anything. You know, I went out and got 20 to 25 numbers every day, cold market, at Walmart, at Target, at Starbucks, at the drive-thru, at the gym, at the gas station, anywhere I could meet somebody, I was getting their numbers every single day. Why? Because it was determined action. It was, you know, the thing about determined action and purposeful and doing things with intent is that the universe and God just like, things start to happen eventually. You know, things just happen in your favor. Blessings don't come from lazy efforts. You know, it comes from the fact that I'm going to do everything I have to do, trusting that there's like acting in faith that this is going to work.
Yeah.
And expecting it to really work, right?
Yeah.
I want to add a point to this. Point 4. When you make decisions like that and you make up your mind, then you start to grow and you start to get momentum. Some things are going to happen, right? Something's going to go wrong.
Nothing's going to go perfect.
Someone in the family is going to get sick and die. A friend is going to have an emergency.
Your
all
dog's
of a sudden,
gonna get sick.
Dog gets sick, kids get sick, car breaks down,
You
someone
get sick.
slashes your tires, you get sick. Something's going to happen. And if it's not stuff like that, something's just going to happen. Like the devil's going to just mess with you. That's how it goes. It happened back in the Bible. It happens to this day, which is like, oh yeah, they're doing good now because everything's going good. Let's see what happens when everything goes bad, right? And that's the story of Job. And so when you start to get focused, that's when all the distractions and all the things that could possibly throw you off are going to happen. And so one thing that adults struggle with so much is saying no.
Very difficult for a lot of people. Most people. Is saying no is knowing there's a difference between things that you can do that are good, things that you can do that are okay, things that you can do that are great.
Right.
And while it's not necessarily bad to say yes to helping someone, it is something that is going to keep you between you and your goals.
Right. It's saying no to things that come up that are extra, right? Is this going to move my business forward? Is this in alignment with everything that I want? Is this necessary or is it extra? Right? And it's all these detours that you have to say no to, right? The power of a made up mind is that the mind's already made up. And so after the mind's already made up, there's no extra decisions. The decision was already made. So every single thing that pops up, is this going to get me closer to my dreams? Nope. Is this going to get me closer to my ring? Nope. Is this going to get me closer to my record month? Nope. Is this going to get me closer to getting out of debt? Nope. And if not, then it's a very easy no because the mind's made up before you start. The problem is when you're like, oh man, I'm so fired up. Hey, you want to go out on the weekend? Yeah, sure. It's like, the heck? I thought you were fired up. I thought you were focused. You know what I mean?
By the way, when you say no to things like that, you're like, no, actually, I have to work on my business. I made a commitment. I'm 100% focused. Of course, people are going to go, well, it's just for an hour. Just come hang out for an hour. What's an hour? People will say things like that because they want to spend time with you. And I think some part of them knows you're going to cave.
Right.
But when you say no, this reshapes them in you in their mind, right? They look at you differently. They go, oh, wow, she's serious this time. Oh, he's serious this time. He means it. If you're out to dinner and they're like, hey, do you want ice cream? And you're like, no. They're like, come on, it's just a little bit. And you're like, no, I'm serious this time. Then they respect you a little bit more. It's going to feel uncomfortable saying no because it just does, but people will respect you more.
Yeah. I think it's one of the biggest things on having a made up mind and focus, because when you're trying to do something really big and you're trying to do it really fast, you can't afford to make focus mistakes because the mind's always working. If I'm trying to build a business and I'm thinking about recruiting and I'm thinking about clientele, the more I'm thinking about that stuff, the more magic happens. So once I start getting distracted, my this stuff's not even in my head anymore. And now I'm not building any momentum, and then I got to start back over when I come back to it. And so if you're building a business, your business can't just be something you do 9 to 5. It's got to be something you do 24/7. Last point. A lot of people say things like, oh, my plate is full, or I just got too much on my plate. And so if you're taking notes, I would tell you that the final thing that you need to do to have this recipe correct, to have everything you need to build momentum and have a made up mind and have an explosion and a breakthrough, is you need to empty your plate and get a bigger one.
Yeah, just clear everything off. Start fresh. Everyone loves the feeling of starting fresh. That's why everyone loves New Year's, right? Because it's, yay, exciting. New Year. So get rid of everything. You're basically creating your whole focus, your life plan from scratch. And it feels good. It feels good to look at everything and go, okay, what's not aligning with what I'm trying to do right now? Doesn't mean you're getting rid of those things forever. If you're playing a league of some sort of sporting thing, a sporting event, and it takes up a lot of your time, but you love it, you're not going to have to say no to that forever. Just until you get what means more.
Right.
What's going to change your life for the long term. That activity brings you joy in a very short time while you're doing it.
Right.
But you're working on something that's going to bring you joy and, satisfaction for much longer. And then you can go back to it.
Right. It's a good point. It's not that something's bad for you. It's just that it's not the best thing, right? It's not an investment in my future or whatever I'm trying to get to. It's just a temporary feel good, right? And so it's canceling everything that's extra. No more side things, no more extra things, no more optional things. It's I'm on a mission. It's this and only this. My responsibilities only. And I think it's also reevaluating your responsibilities too. Because a lot of us, we fill this whole list of responsibilities. Well, but everything on my plate is a responsibility. Well, reevaluate your responsibilities. Sometimes we gather up responsibilities that we don't need, and we have so much crap going on. One of the things that I knew Frank was serious when he told me, he's like, I'm quitting my softball league. And Frank came here from the Dominican Republic to play baseball. So playing in the softball league is something he freaking loves and thinks about all week. When he said that, I was like, oh, okay. Because everyone could get fired up. But then when it comes down to dropping things, whether it's bad habits or it's extracurriculars that get in the way, they can't make that decision. They don't want it that bad. And when he said that, I was like, okay, he's serious. And so it becomes this is the only thing on my plate. It's my business, my wife, my son, right? And that was the conversation he had with me. And I was like, all right.
Yeah.
That right there could get the job done.
That's the focus.
And he said a quote. He said, options hinder your focus. And so when I got so much stuff going on, or so many side hustles to make money, so much stuff going on, it actually hurts me. It doesn't help me.
And that's when you know that it's time to make a change.
Yeah, I think everyone should work to try to get these defining breaking points in your life, in your business, because that's when you level up. Everyone wants to level up. We say, all right, there's always another level. There's always another level. There's always another level. You can't just level up by continuing to do what you're doing. That takes a long time. A leveling up that's fast comes when you could do something that just changes the trajectory of your health, your fitness, your business, whatever it is you're working on. And I think it starts with getting pissed off. But as we finish, I want to point out that most people do get pissed off. But then that's the extent of it. That's where it stops. Because everything that happens after the pissed off point are big decisions that you have to make, right? It's, I'm going to stop partying. Yeah, good luck. I'm going to stop playing softball 3-4 times a week. I'm going to stop going out every weekend, or I'm going to stop eating freaking fast food. Like it's those are the decisions that make the difference. That the dude shredded in the gym and the dude who's strong in the gym, the difference is what they shove in their mouth whenever they leave the gym, right? And that's the hard decision. It's the easy one that makes all the difference. Fired up.
Fired up.
All right, you guys.
So this is actually episode 18, which means we have 2 more after this for our season 2.
And then we're done.
And then we're done. So hopefully you've been enjoying them thus far.
Done forever. I'm just kidding.
Dun, dun, dun. So hopefully you've been enjoying them so far. We're excited for the next 2. And yeah, we just want to give you a heads up.
Yeah, last thing I'm going to point out, if you guys have any topics that you want us to hit, I get a lot of messages of topics, and then because I get a lot of messages, then when I try to go back and look for them, I can't find them, and I don't know who sent it to me. So if you have topics that you want us to hit, then just comment them on YouTube. That way,
yes, those are very easy to find.
And we can find them. All right, y'all. We're out.
Bye.